So, folks, there's this country called Canada, and there's this other country called the United States of America. And, well, Canada elected a new prime minister, and as is usual, that prime minister, Mark Carney, is coming or came down yesterday from Canada to meet with Donald Trump, the president of the United States of America. No, that can't be right. It says in my show notes that Donald Trump is the president of America. All right, Donald Trump, the president of America. I guess we did it again, everybody. I think sometimes between these segments that I do, I get a traumatic brain injury and just forget. It's a blessing. That being said, hey, folks, remember to like, comment, and subscribe. It really helps out the channel when you do. Let's jump into it, shall we? Because it was an awkward meeting between Mark Carney and Donald Trump. And I think you can see that from literally the second the video feed begins from PBS News. Look at their expressions. Look at Donald Trump. He looks like the grumpiest grump pug that ever grumped. He's a grumpy boy. He's upset to be talking with this interloper. And Mark Carney just looks like an adult that's been pestered one too many times to play Fortnite.
No.
Wait, did Mark Carney just like wink? Is he that charming?
No.
Oh, he did! He did! That was like way more charming than anything Trump has done in the last 30 years. I would turn on captions, but there's no captions on this for some reason.
Thank you very much, everybody.
Okay, I know it's completely immaterial to this video, but real quick, does anyone have any idea what this, like, face mask in the background is? It looks like a... It looks like the Toxic Avenger or something. Like, what is this? Does anyone have any idea? Also, hello, Friar Tuck. It's Dio's? Makes sense.
Everybody, it's a great honor to have Prime Minister Mark Carney with us. As you know, just a few days ago, he won a very big election in Canada. And I think I was probably the greatest thing that happened to him, but I can't take vote credit. His party was losing by a lot, and he ended up winning. So I really want to congratulate him. It was probably one of the greatest comebacks in the history of politics, maybe even greater than mine. You know?
What a backhanded way to open up your first press conference with this guy. I'm really sorry. To anyone in Canada that's watching, I'm really goddamn sorry.
But I want to just congratulate you. That was a great election, actually. We were watching it with interest, and I think Canada chose a very talented person, a very good person, because we spoke before the election quite a few times. And it's an honor to have you at the White House and the Oval Office. And you see the new and improved Oval Office as it becomes more and more beautiful with love. You know, we handle it with great love and 24-karat gold. That always helps too. Right? But it's been a lot of fun. We're going over some of the beautiful pictures that were stored in the vaults that were for many, many years. In some cases, over 100 years. They were stored in vaults of the great presidents, or almost great presidents, all having a reason for being up, every one of them. So it's very interesting. But I just want to congratulate you and ran a really great race. I watched the debate. I thought you were excellent, and I think we have a lot of things in common. We have some tough points to go over, and that'll be fine. We're going to also be discussing Ukraine, Russia, the war, because Mark wants it ended as quickly as I do. I think it has to end. We had some very good news last night. The Houthis have announced that they are not, or they've announced to us at least, that they don't want to fight anymore. They just don't want to fight.
You know, like most people do. Like, one day you wake up, you're like, I just don't want to fight anymore. You know, they just all had ennui all of a sudden.
And we will honor that, and we will stop.
Is that true? You know what? I have to be honest. I assumed when I heard him say that in a clip I saw of this that it was a lie. But you know what? Let's look it up. Yemen Houthis say attacks on Israel not in U.S. ceasefire deal in any way. So Trump says that that they came to a deal to stop bombing the Houthis, but that's what Trump said yesterday, probably as part of this. The BBC said earlier today that the Houthis say the United States backed down and Israel is also not covered by the ceasefire. So again, it sounds like a clusterfuck ongoing behind the scenes. Or maybe even in front of the scenes, I guess, in this case.
Bombings, and they have capitulated, but more importantly, we will take their word. They say they will not be blowing up ships anymore, and that's what the purpose of what we were doing. So that's just news. We just found out about that. So I think that's very, very positive. They were knocking out a lot of ships going, as you know, sailing beautifully down the various seas. It wasn't just the canal, it was a lot of other places. And I will accept their word, and we are going to stop the bombing of the Houthis, effective immediately. And Marco, you'll let everybody know that, okay?
Okay, wait, I'm sorry. Okay, this is a bigger clusterfuck than I thought. Just because if you're watching this, right? Donald Trump just says this, right?
Effective, we are going to stop the bombing of the Houthis, effective immediately. And Marco, you'll let everybody know that, okay?
He just decided that mid-conversation, mid-interview. I really, I know a lot of people keep saying that, like, Donald Trump is playing, like, 4D chess or whatever. He's not. He's just, like, spur of the moment deciding to do these things. He literally literally effective immediately as of this interview. That's why he turns to Marco and says, make sure everyone knows that, all right?
Effective immediately. And Marco, you'll let everybody know that, okay?
If you're in the middle of like a press briefing or a press conference, rather, like, you don't need to turn to Marco Rubio and say, you'll take care of all of that, right, little Marco? Like, that's something you've talked about beforehand. You don't need to do this unless, like, you're just making shit up as it goes. Like, it's actually shocking to see sometimes. His brain is gone.
Do you have something to say about that, by the way? It's a pretty big announcement.
Yeah.
Do you have something to say about that? This thing that I just pulled out of my ass, do you have something to say about that? While all the cameras are on.
This was always a freedom of navigation mission. These are, a band of individuals with advanced weaponry that were threatening global shipping. And the job was to get that to stop. And if it's going to stop, then we can stop. And I think it's an important development.
And we'll have maybe before we're going to, as you know, the Middle East, Saudi Arabia. We're going to UAE and Qatar. And that'll be
Yui.
Monday night. Some of you are coming with us. I think before then we're going to have a very, very big announcement to make, like as big as it gets, and I won't tell you on what, but it's going to, and it's very positive. I'd tell you if it was negative or positive. I can't keep that out.
I can tell you if it's negative or positive because I can't tell you everything, folks. I can't tell you everything, but I can tell you if it's negative or positive. Hey, folks, you want to play a game? It's called Hot or Cold. I can't tell you everything, but I can tell you if you're getting warmer or if you're getting colder. It's a very fun game, folks.
It is really, really positive. And that announcement will be made either Thursday or Friday or Monday before we leave. But it'll be one of the most important announcements that have been made in many years about a certain subject, very important subject. So you'll all be here.
Is this just him dropping all of the tariffs on China? Like what is he gonna do? Like his positive news is like what? Like what is your spectrum for positive news here? Like what is he gonna have the U.S. government throw its fundings behind like a reboot of Gilligan's Island? Like what does he think is that good?
Mark, would you like to say a few words?
Well, thank you, Mr. President. I'm on the edge of my seat, actually, for the big announcement. But thank you for your hospitality and above all for your leadership. You're a transformational president, focus on the economy with a relentless focus on the American worker, securing your borders, ending the scourge of fentanyl and other opioids, and securing the world. And I've been elected with my colleagues here, with the help of my colleagues here. I'm going to spread the credit to transform Canada with a similar focus on the economy, securing our borders, again on fentanyl, much greater focus on defense and security, securing the Arctic and developing the Arctic. And the history of Canada and the U.S. is we're stronger when we work together, and there's many opportunities to work together. And I look forward to, addressing some of those issues that we have, but also finding those areas of mutual cooperation so we can move forward.
It really is fascinating to listen to like a fully formed human being who his brain isn't like rotted in fascism, unlike like everyone around Trump these days. Like it's fascinating to see like an actual human being interact with like this fascist puppet,
That's great. Very nice. Thank you very much. It's a very nice statement.
Mr. President,
Anybody?
Is USMCA dead?
No, it was actually very effective, and it's still very effective, but people have to follow it. So, that's been a problem. People haven't followed it. But it was a transitional step a little bit, and as you know, it terminates fairly shortly. It gets renegotiated very shortly. But I thought it was a very positive step from NAFTA. NAFTA was the worst trade deal in the history of our country, probably in the history of the world. And
it's really interesting. You renegotiated NAFTA last time you were president. It's weird that you're still talking about it. Why aren't you talking about how great your renegotiation was? Ashley, get good sleep. Thank you for helping to invent the internet. Appreciate you always.
This was a transitional deal, and we'll see what happens. We're going to be starting to possibly renegotiate that if it's even necessary. I don't know that it's necessary anymore, but it served a very good purpose. And the biggest purpose it served is we got rid of NAFTA. NAFTA was a very unfair deal.
You didn't you just renamed it. That you basically just rubber stamped more NAFTA.
For the United States, very, very terrible deal. It should have never been made. It was made many years ago, but it should have never been made.
Canada and the United States. Would you like to see your first trade deal be with Canada? Our neighbors in the world?
I would love that. Look,
our first trade deal. Wait a minute. I thought we were getting one trade deal a day. 90 trade deals, 90 days. Wait, we're still working on the first one? Wait, I thought these tariffs were supposed to bring in billions and billions of dollars.
I have a lot of respect for this man, and I watched him come up, in a sense, through the ranks when he wasn't given much of a chance, and he ran a really great campaign. He did a really great debate. I think that debate was very helpful. I was going to raise my hand. You know.
Wait, that one American. Do you think Carney's up to something? Him being here to say all of 2 words is starting to make me wonder. I mean, they talk behind closed doors too. I'm guessing his goal here is to get Donald Trump to drop like the Canadian tariffs, like the tariffs on Canadian goods that like are hot, because I believe the entire world is at 10% except for Canada and Mexico and China. And then like all of the other countries in the world have their tariffs at 10% until like they maybe go back into effect in like 2 months. Who knows? And yeah, probably also to try and get him to stop saying he's going to invade Canada. You know?
I don't know if that's good or bad. I shouldn't say that. That might hurt you. But no, he ran a really great election, I thought. And yeah, something could happen. Something could happen. Yeah, please.
Something could happen. The really inspiring words of a guy who's definitely dedicated to 90 deals in 90 days.
What's the top concession you want out of Canada? The top concession you want out of Canada?
Concession?
Yes,
Friendship.
but that's not a concession.
No, we're going to be friends with Canada. Regardless of anything, we're going to be friends with Canada. Canada is a very special place to me. I know so many people that live in Canada.
I guess I'm a little worried to see if he's going to threaten to invade Canada or threaten to annex Canada in front of the Canadian PM.
My parents had relatives that lived in Canada, my mother in particular. And no, I love Canada. I have a lot of respect for the Canadians. Wayne Gretzky. I mean, how good, the great one.
I have a lot of respect for Canadians. Let me see, how many Canadians can I name? There's Wayne Gretzky and Mark Carney, and that's it. Great Canadians. I know a bunch of great Canadians.
You happen to have a very, very good hockey player right here on the Capitals, who I have a lot of respect. He is a big, tough cookie, too. He just broke the record, and he's a great guy. And, you know, we had the...
I believe he's talking about a Russian player. Like, he's not even talking about a Canadian hockey player here. He's talking about... I also really like that guy who's not Canadian, but he is in Canada. Wait, he plays for a team in Washington, D.C.? He's not even Canadian? Like, he's not even, like, playing on a Canadian team. That's insane!
We had the team.
My favorite hockey player, Wayne Gretzky's pretty good, but I like the Washington Capitals player, Alexander Ovechkin. For the Washington Capitals, that's nuts. Guys, you know that if Biden had said something like this, there would be like think pieces about how his brain was gone, right? No one's doing that yet. It's wild to me.
Team here, and I got to know a lot of the players. But now Canada is a very special place. Yeah, please.
Mr. President, Mr. Prime Minister, I'd like to get your response to this too. But Mr. President, you have said that Canada should become the 51st state.
No. No. Well, I still believe that, but you know, it takes two.
Oh God. I still think that'd be a really good state, though.
The tango, right? But no, I do. I mean, I believe it would be a massive tax cut for the Canadian citizens. You get free military, you get tremendous medical cares. And
it's not a free military. It's not a free military if they then become a state and pay taxes, ding dong.
Other things. There would be a lot of advantages, but it would be a massive tax cut, and it's also
Look, I think all Canadians would really like to lose their health care. Okay? Everyone in the world wants to lose their health care and be on a private plan here in America.
Beautiful. As a real estate developer, I'm a real estate developer at heart. When you get rid of that artificially drawn line, somebody drew that line many years ago with like a ruler, just a straight line right across the top of the country. When you look at that beautiful formation, when it's
Mark Carney is really struggling with how to comport his face through all this because this is fucking nuts.
together, I'm a very artistic person, but when I looked at that beauty, I said that's the way it was meant to be. But I do feel it's much better for Canada, but we're not going to be discussing that unless somebody wants to discuss it. I think that there are tremendous benefits to the Canadian citizens, tremendously lower taxes.
Carney's face. Yeah, he's very excited about being here.
Free military, which honestly we give you essentially anyway, because we're protecting Canada if you ever had a problem. But I think
Canada has a military. Canada participated in the invasion of Normandy with us. We on D-Day. Come on, what the hell are you on about?
it would really be a wonderful marriage because it's two places that get along very well. They like each other a lot.
Mark is just battling the voices that are telling him, grab the fire poker, Mark. It's right there, Mark. It's right there behind his shoulder. Just grab the fire poker. You know what to do. He's like, no, I can't. I shan't.
Well, if I may, as you know from real estate, there are some
Mark
places
Carney trying not to defend
that
Post.
are never for sale.
That's true.
We're sitting in one right now, Buckingham Palace that you visited as well.
That's true.
And having met with the owners of Canada over the course of the campaign last several months, it's not for sale, won't be for sale ever. But the opportunity is in the partnership and what we can build together. And we have done
It won't be for sale ever, sir.
done that in the past. And part of that, as the president just said, is with respect to our own security. And my government is committed for a step change in our investment in Canadian security and our partnership. And I'll say this as well.
I will say this is maybe the classiest fuck off I've ever heard someone give. So props to Prime Minister Carney.
That the president has revitalized international security, revitalized NATO, and us playing our full weight in NATO, and that will be part of it.
True. And they have, I must say, Canada is stepping up the military participation because Mark knew, they were low, and now they're stepping it up, and that's a very important thing. But never say never. Never say never.
But never say never. I will never allow that to happen.
What would it take to get the tariffs top of Canada?
Well, we'll be talking about different things.
Yeah, they've revitalized their military because Donald Trump keeps threatening to take their country. Yeah. Oh, God.
We want to protect our automobile business, and so does Mark. But we want to make the automobiles, and we want to, we have a tremendous abundance of energy, more than any country. We have, just in Alaska alone, Anwar has been reopened now. Anwar is probably the largest find anywhere in the world. They say it's larger than Saudi Arabia. I don't know, but it's a lot. But we have tremendous amounts of energy. Other countries don't. We're both lucky in that way. They have energy. We have energy. We have more than we can ever use and more than we could ever sell, actually. And you have the same thing. So we're two countries that are very lucky. If you look at China, they don't have that. It's a big disadvantage. Other countries, most countries don't have. Most countries don't have that. So Canada and us, we have a lot of advantages.
Mark Carney is fighting a valiant fight against the voices in his head as they get louder.
Over other places.
When you consider what Mr. Carney just said, that Canada is not for sale, does this make the discussion a little more difficult to start on?
No, not at all. No, not at all. No, time will tell. It's only time. But I say never. I've had many, many things that were not doable, and they ended up being doable, and only doable in a very friendly way. But if it
Oh my God. Trump should be grateful he survived this. My God.
it's to everybody's benefit, Canada loves us, and we love Canada. That's, I think, the number one thing that's important. But we'll see. I mean, over time.
I don't know why you're getting so mad, Mark. I'm just proposing a friendly coup to take you out of power, Mark. Like it'd be like the end of Hamlet, Mark. We could have a nice little wine party together, Mark.
We'll see what happens. China.
I was hoping you could clarify something. Earlier this morning in Capitol Hill, Secretary Bessent said that there had been no negotiations yet with China. You have said something different.
They want to meet, and they're doing no business right now. And those ships are turning around in the Pacific Ocean. Big turn. Those are big ships. Those ships take about 10 miles to turn. And, we lost $1 trillion to China on trade because of an incompetent president that we had who preceded me, grossly incompetent. You're finding it out more and more now.
The ships are turning around away from America. Like port loads are down like 50, 60%. Like, what are you talking about?
And by not trading, we're losing nothing. So we're saving $1 trillion. It's a lot. But they want to negotiate, and they want to have a meeting.
We're not saving $1 trillion. People make money by selling things to other countries, dude. People make money by doing that. We're losing money by not selling things to them.
And we'll be meeting with them at the right time.
But you haven't met with them yet.
I have not met with them. Of course, you would know if I met. I'd tell you they want to meet, but we are right now. Look, they're suffering greatly. Their economy is suffering greatly because they're not doing trade with the U.S. and they made most of their money off the U.S. Don't kid yourself. They don't make the money off other countries like this. And they were making. We had a trade imbalance. We had a deficit, or they had a surplus. Another way of saying it, of more than $1 trillion. Think of it, more than $1 trillion. And because of 145%, that's the only reason, but because of they have now 145% tariff, there's no trading. You can't trade with 145%. We are, therefore, making, in a certain way, I guess, $1.1 trillion. In other words, we're not losing $1.1 trillion. Our deficit is much better. When I started, I say we were losing billions of dollars a day on trade. That's rapidly turning around. We looked at numbers this morning. So we were losing. The United States during Biden was losing.
Guys, just real quick, just because I need to know where you guys are at. Do you guys understand when we have a trade deficit with a country, what that means? Like, no shame if you don't, but like, I just want to kind of know if there are people here who don't know what that means. You understand? Yeah, that means we're being stolen from. No. It means we either buy more than we sell, or we sell more. Yeah, we buy more than we sell. Exactly. Yep. And that's good. It's good to buy more than we sell. In some cases. We are a consumerist society. Our entire society is built on that, right? But there's a really important thing when we look at the physical trade deficit that exists between countries, because we are a service economy. And services don't need to be put on ships. Right? So, like, there's like this weird obsession in the Trump administration and in these fascist circles that, like, you even hear it from Elon Musk, that, like, oh, the only real things are the physical things, the goods you can touch. Anything that's abstract, like mental labor or like, expertise and such, that's not real in any sense. Only, that's why we have to send people back into the coal mines, because that's real work, unlike providing services, right? Okay, so like we get goods and they get our money, which is fine, but is the money itself just leaving the country? So what? That is actually a really good question, right? And I'm going to give you just like a very basic explainer for that. But basically, the United States is able to do deficit spending. We're able to print money like crazy, right? Because the entire world uses the US dollar. And so effectively, because the entire world uses the US dollar, we can do a lot of things like quantitative easing, where we just print a bunch of money, inject a bunch of money into the system, because our money is still kind of in our circulation. What happens when you interact with countries that don't take your money is that there needs to be like a trade, like physical trade, right? We don't need that because we are the global currency. Except Donald Trump is blowing up that ability by making things so unstable that other countries don't want to buy American bonds. The bond market is shaken, and that in turn shakes up whether or not other countries are going to trade in the US dollar, right? And so, but because currently, at least as of this moment, the world uses the US dollar, we can send more money to China in exchange for goods that we then use, and through the power of like services and the advanced manufacturing we have here, we turn that stuff into other things, and then we sell that either internally or to other countries, but that's in a nutshell why it's not bad to have a trade deficit in this case. However, even if we didn't have that, it would still be fine to have a trade deficit with one country and a trade surplus with another, because that's just kind of how like specialization can work sometimes. Like some countries are going to have more manufacturing capacity in like niche fields than others, so this is all interesting. But the reason why it's going to be so almost apocalyptically economically bad for China to have this 145% tariff on it is specifically because there is infrastructure in China that simply isn't elsewhere in the world and cannot be elsewhere in the world, at least not in the foreseeable near future. Like maybe if you have a decade to set up a factory somewhere else, like you could make that kind of infrastructure, but it just doesn't exist elsewhere. They just want automation, but the automation's not there yet for a lot of things. You can't just automate everything. Still relies on a lot of expertise. Sorry, I feel dumb. I don't understand world economics. It's okay. It's a complicated thing. Okay, so like if we buy things from Japan, we have more stuff, but Japan has more buying power in ratio to us, for example, but they also do buy our services anyway, which brings money back. Well, so what a lot of countries wind up doing is they put that money back into the United States in the form of US bonds, which is essentially like you loan the US government money and the US government pays you back extraordinarily reliably with a very small amount of interest. It's more reliable than any bank, at least historically. It's more reliable than like the stock market. And it's basically a guaranteed way of growing your money, right? So a lot of countries do that in order to, have money in a set place. And in turn, that strengthens like the use of the US dollar and the stability of like the US economy. Do I have a flannel graph? I don't have a flannel graph. Sorry. I also don't know what that is. Also, yeah, again, Japan might have less stuff, and we might have more of Japan's stuff in that particular example, but we also provide services. And those services don't need to be like shipped overseas. They can be provided digitally, or people can migrate. Like there are a lot of things that we do here that reciprocate some kind of value for the Japanese economy, or insert whatever country's economy. Art, culture being like things along those lines. So I just to like give a brief overview of why this is all nuts.
More than, I won't even give you numbers because they're so embarrassing, but billions of dollars a day on trade. Those numbers are rapidly turning between the tariffs. Don't forget, we're now getting 25% on cars, 25% on aluminum, 25% on steel, and maybe more importantly, massive numbers of companies are moving into the United States. Honda, we have tremendous, the car companies are moving in at levels we've never seen before. The biggest investment ever made in the United States is being made right now. Trillions of dollars. I would say we could be.
The biggest investment in the United States is being made right now with $0. by putting $0 into the U.S. economy. We're really going to juice it, says man who has cost billions of dollars in business every single day for the last month.
At $9 trillion. You could go back to other presidents. They haven't had $1 trillion for their entire term.
Yeah, like Americans aren't even investing in America right now because everyone's too scared about like the economic outlook of what's going to happen here. Because this guy's a madman.
Look at Biden. He had bad numbers. People were leaving. They weren't coming in. They were leaving with Biden. And he didn't.
Oh, good question. What? Aren't bonds like being kind of in debt to them, but then like when they pay for Disney Plus or the new Billy album, that's us getting money back. It's just kind of like a good and bad. No, so when they buy bonds, they're buying our debt. We give them a bond, and that says, we're gonna pay you back. But that money comes to us. And, over time, we eventually pay it back. But like, that's like, they're investing in us effectively. You can think of it that way, right? They're investing in us. It's kind of like how when you get a loan from a bank, the bank is effectively investing in you. And when you store your money, you put it in the bank, and the bank holds onto it and does a lot of stuff with your money while you're not using it. It's kind of like that. We have effectively created a system where like other countries then give money back to us, and then we're allowed to do what we want with it while paying them off in the future. Right? Okay. They just can like straight up buy the bond. Yep. A lot of businesses will also buy bonds because they are so dependable. A lot of banks will buy bonds. Yeah. It's not in relation to how we have a deficit in any way. No, it's just a way that like that money circulates through kind of the global economy because all of these other countries use the dollar and accept the dollar. So they're buying into the interest payments. Yeah, like when we're talking about paying interest on our debt, like part of that interest is going to bondholders.
Know the difference. The only thing he knew is people coming in. You know who they were? Illegal immigrants. Okay, from prisons, from mental institutions, from all sorts of places that weren't.
Can we just like point out briefly, like I feel like it's said so often, but like this is the same kind of like dehumanizing language that you would hear from like, I don't know, any kind of genocidal regime. Like this is the same kind of propaganda that radicalized people against like, the Jews, the different ethnic groups targeted for genocide. This is Again, they're all rapists and murderers and thieves, and you don't have to feel bad about them. They're basically subhuman. It's disgusting what they do to this country and to the people who come here to live and work.
Good. From gangs from Venezuela. They were coming in and they were criminals and murderers. 11,888 people that murdered, and at least half of them murdered more than one person. This is what Biden led into our country. I'm bringing in big companies. We have Apple is investing $500 billion. We have Jensen, as you know, is going to be 500 biggest chip maker, or chip thinker, I call him. He's really a thinker more than a maker. But we also have the maker, Mr. Wei. I get to know them all in the last, it was a cram course, but they're all
This man can't communicate.
moving into America because of the tariffs. And I don't think people have appreciated it. Some people do, some of the smart people do. So we have more money coming in. It's really an amazing thing. We have more money being invested in the United States now than at any time ever before in our history, and it's not even close. And
again, just lies. No one is investing in America right now or in American businesses.
I think the real number could be 9 or 10 trillion. We don't know everybody that's doing it. We have many. I just heard about a plant that's being built right now, a very, very top-of-the-line company, and they didn't come to the White House. They're just doing it because they're making it because if they build here, there are no tariffs.
No, they're building it because they already had plans to build it. That's the same story with every single plant that is currently being built. It's not because of the tariff incentive that you put into place like a month ago. It's because 3 years ago they started planning the building of these factories, and like now they're finally doing it. That's it. That's it. These just lies.
And this is the big market. This is the market. That sets us apart from it. This is the market where everyone wants to be. Now, if I didn't come here and do this, all of a sudden we wouldn't be the market where everyone wants to be. So we're able to do it in time.
Nah, we watched a clip earlier where he talked about like wanting to be a movie maker and like how that was why he wanted to reopen Alcatraz. Like, no. I do think that there is mental decline going on here. Like, you can even see it if you look at his past interviews and the ones he does today. And I'm also just going to throw this out there that, like, the other day there was a clip of him trying to remember the thing babies are in because he couldn't remember the word stroller.
But we're going to have a great announcement, and I'm not necessarily saying it's on trade. Going to the beginning, we're going to have a great announcement over the next few days, an announcement that will be so incredible, so positive. And I'm not.
I mean, we know Scott Bessent is on his way to talk with his Chinese counterparts. So, like, I'm guessing it has something to do with that, if I had to guess. Because, like, he's talking like he really wants people to guess. So that's my guess.
I'm not saying, I don't want you to think it's necessarily on trade. Just to finish, we also have a situation, because everyone says, when are you going to sign deals? We don't have to sign deals. We could sign 25 deals right now, Howard, if we wanted. We don't have to
that's crazy. You promised 90 deals in 90 days. Why aren't you signing them?
sign deals. They have to sign deals with us. They want a piece of our market. We don't want a piece of their market. We don't care about their market. They want a piece of our market.
Yes, you do. You sell things to them. You do care about their market.
Have monies. Let's see other streamers give LivyCon lessons. Shove that in your pipe hand. Cigarette emoji. Hassan.
Brutus Magnuson, thank you for the $5 super chat. I do like to imagine I provide some kind of valuable commentary to you folks. Also, we've been going for almost 4 hours now. If you're enjoying the stream or getting anything out of it, please consider dropping those subs, donos, memberships, super chats, etc., because you all make this show possible, and I could not do it without you fine folks. The BWAs keep me alive.
Market. So we can just sit down, and I'll do this at some point over the next 2 weeks, and I'll sit with Howard and Scott and with our great vice president, who has done a really good job. We have some good news to report on a lot of fronts, but JD will be there and Marco, and we're going to sit down and we're going to put very fair numbers down, and we're going to say, here's what this country, what we want, and congratulations, we have a deal. And they'll either say, great, and they'll start shopping, or they'll say, not good, we're not going to do it. And I said, that's okay, you don't have to shop. Now, we may think, well, they have a right, that maybe we were a little bit wrong, so we'll adjust it. And then you people will say, oh, it's so chaotic. No, we're flexible. But
It took him a minute to remember J.D. Vance's name. To be fair to him, it's 2 whole syllables.
We'll sit down and we'll, at some point, in some cases, we'll sign some deals. It's much less important than what I'm talking about. For the most part, we're just going to put down a number and say, this is what you're going to pay to shop. And it's going to be a very fair number. It'll be a low number. We're not looking to hurt countries. We want to help countries.
It won't be a high number, like, say, 145%. It won't be a high number.
Want to be friendly with countries, but you keep writing about deals. When are we going to sign? It's very simple. We're going to say, in some cases, we want you to open up your country. In some cases, we want you to drop your tariffs. I mean, India, as an example, has one of the highest tariffs in the world. We're not going to put up with that. And they've agreed already to drop it. They'll drop it to nothing. They've already agreed. They would have never done that for anybody else but me. So we're going to put down some numbers, and we're going to say our country is open for business. And they're going to come in, and they're going to pay for the privilege of being able to shop in the United States of America. It's very simple. It's very simple. So I wish they'd keep,
What are you talking about, old man?
Stop asking, how many deals are you signing this week? Because one day we'll come and we'll give you 100 deals. And they don't have to sign. All they have to do is say...
Also, can we just, stop and, take a moment to recognize that he's saying, we'll give them 100 deals. We're not giving them 100 deals. We're giving each one deal. We're making a deal with each different country. It's not like you're gonna get so many deals, folks. You're gonna get so many deals. No, that's not how anything works here.
We'll start sending our ships right now to pick up whatever we want or to bring whatever we want. It's very, very simple. And I think my people haven't made it clear. We will sign some deals, but much bigger than that is we're going to put down...
It's crazy that we haven't really signed any deals yet. There's a lot of countries on the planet, and not many of them have signed deals. It's crazy.
On the price that people are going to have to pay to shop in the United States. Think of us as a super luxury store, a store that has the goods. You're going to come and you're going to pay a price, and we're going to give you a very good price.
We don't have the goods. We're a service economy, dude. What are they going to buy? They make all of the goods we buy. We consume. We have a consumer economy. Think of us like a luxury store that doesn't have anything, but you just want to pay for the privilege of being in it so that all your rich friends can know how cool you are. Think of it that way. We're kind of like a Dave and Buster's. We're kind of like a Dave and Buster's. We offer you fundamentally nothing very useful, but you can come hang out and maybe have a good time.
We're going to make very good deals, and in some cases we'll adjust. But that's where it is. And we've been ripped off by everybody for 50 years. And we're just not going to do that anymore. We can't do that. And we can't let any country do that to us. We're just not going to do it anymore.
Can you tell us a bit more about the deal that you've reached with the Houthis?
No, it's not a deal. They've said, please don't bomb us anymore, and we're not going to attack your ships.
And where did you...
No, you misunderstood. I didn't reach a deal with the Houthis. I simply decided, as we were having this conversation, that we would have a unilateral no-fire agreement. Okay? It's a no-takesies backsies agreement that I have decided we have with them starting now.
I'm about to start into fart jokes. Trump is so incoherent and boring.
One Eyed Ethan, thank you for the $5 super chat. I appreciate the support very, very much.
Hear about that.
It doesn't matter where I hear it. The very good source I get.
It doesn't matter where I heard it. It was a very good source. It was me. It was me. I'm the source.
Very, very good source. Would you say, Marco? I would say pretty good, right, JD? A very good source.
I love that he's saying that to the two guys who also just found out that he wanted to do this right now.
No, they don't want to be. They don't want to be. They don't want to be bombed anymore. You know, I sort of thought that would happen. No, behind you, please.
Clarifying something you said on USMCA. Is the U.S. prepared to walk away from that pact?
From what pact?
USMCA.
No. It's fine. It's there. It's good. We use it for certain things. It's there. We have the USMCA is a good deal for everybody. I won't say this about Mark, but I didn't like his predecessor. I didn't like a person that worked for. She was terrible, actually. She was a terrible person.
Good evening, Dragonfly.
And she really hurt that deal very badly because she tried to take advantage of the deal and she didn't get away with it. You know what I'm talking about. But so you know, we had a bad relationship having to do with the fact that we disagreed with the way they viewed the deal, and we ended it. You know, we ended that relationship pretty much. The USMCA is great for all countries. It's good for all countries. We do have a negotiation coming up over the next year or so to adjust it or terminate it.
Mr. President.
I'll say a word on USMCA, if I may, Mr. President. It is a basis for a broader negotiation. Some things about it are going to have to change. And part of the way you've conducted these tariffs has taken advantage of existing aspects of USMCA. So it's going to have to change. There's other elements that are come, and that's part of what we're going to discuss.
Right.
During the campaign, Prime Minister Carney talked about the American betrayal. How do you react if Canada decided not to shop in the American store as much as before and decided to partner with other countries?
Well, we don't do much business with Canada from our standpoint. They do a lot of business with us.
Can we sorry. Do we have an image here? Canada is the second largest trading partner to the United States total, with a little under $700 billion annually traded with the United States. That is from January through September of 2024. But wait, there's more! Canada remains the most important hub for U.S. exports, to the tune of around $325 billion. Clown shit from our president.
We're at like 4%, and usually those things don't last very long. You know, we have great things, great product, the kind of product we sell nobody else can sell, including military. Look, we make the best military equipment in the world, and Canada.
But you know, like, it's not necessarily that the best, right? Like, other places make good enough military hardware. We make really good ones, but other places make pretty all right ones, you know, military hardware, that is.
Canada buys our military equipment, which we appreciate, but we make the best military equipment in the world by far. The missiles, the submarines, everything we have is really top notch. I rebuilt our military during our last term. Stupidly, we gave some away to Afghanistan, which shouldn't have happened, but that was
you planned the pullout. You made it happen.
I think it was the most embarrassing moment in the history of our country.
You literally traded all of their leadership that we had in prison so that you would have an attack-free election year. You did that. You set up what happened in Afghanistan. Fuck you.
It was just very incompetent people. But if you look, the man that's now the head of our Joint Chiefs, he led the attack on ISIS for me. That's why he's the head of the Joint Chiefs. And Raisin Kane, he was unbelievable. And as you know, we defeated ISIS in 3 weeks. It was supposed to take 5 years.
Yeah, Canada's tourism industry is about to get decimated. And you know what? That's being too charitable, because decimation is 1 in 10. 10% reduction. Florida's tourism is about to be devastated.
We did it in 3 weeks, and he ran the campaign. I said I like him, but I knew him before. I went to Iraq, and we agreed to a plan, and that was the plan. And as you know, we did it in record time. So we have the best equipment in the world. We have the best a lot of things, and but Canada, it does a lot more business with us than we do with Canada. Yeah.
Mr. President, can I ask about your investments, Mr. President? When do you think the investments that you've announced, the trillions, will finally hit economic data this year?
When you're saying about the tariffs?
No, about the investments that you've announced.
It's hitting right now. Look, they're already starting AI plants. These are not people that look for financing. That's a good thing. You know, in real estate, you get a site, then you have to look for financing.
You know, I love that he's like, oh yeah, you know, we're investing $1 trillion into AI, you know, completely unprofitable technology that has, again, like a lot of these venture capital backed ideas, has not resulted in any of the firms currently pushing it as the hot new thing, has not resulted in any profitable enterprises. And in fact, it is functionally useless for the things people want to use it for, outside of lying, trickery, and deceit.
You have to get your zoning, you know, 5 years later you start building, you get a bank, then the bank's no good. These people have massive amounts of cash. The CHIPS Act was a ridiculous thing because that doesn't get them to build. All we did is hand very...
Hey, very nice, Duck. Thank you.
Regarding Trump's plan for leaving Afghanistan, if Donald were in any way competent at pulling out, Donald Trump Jr. would not be a thing.
Hey!
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
Thank you for the $5 dono, very knifey duck. I very much appreciate that.
Wealthy companies' money. The CHIPS Act that was done by Biden. Billions, we give them billions of dollars. They don't even have to do anything with it. And then if you weren't, if you didn't have, and I don't want to be a wise guy, but if you didn't go with the DEI, if you didn't go with all of the different things woke, if you weren't woke, you couldn't even use the money. You had to have a certain percentage of this and that and that and that. It's impossible to have. The companies actually complained to me. They said they gave me all this money, but nobody can get these people to do anything. I mean, look, President Obama, and if he wanted help, I'd give him help because I'm a really good builder and I build on time, on budget. He's building his library.
No, you don't. No, you don't. You're like infamous in New York for not paying your contractors. Fuck you.
In Chicago, it's a disaster. And he said something.
Obama isn't personally building his library. The U.S. government does that. What are you talking about?
To the effect, I only want DEI, I only want woke. He wants woke people to build it. Well, he got woke people, and they have massive cost overruns. A job is stopped. I don't know. It's a disaster. And I don't like that happening because I think it's bad for the presidency that a thing like that should happen. He's got a library that's a disaster. And he wanted to be very politically correct, and he didn't use good, hard, tough, mean construction workers that I love, Marco. I love those construction workers.
He loves them so much that he doesn't pay them.
He didn't want construction workers.
Obama owns Chicago, of course.
I am trying to buy your vote. He wanted people that never did it before, and he's got a disaster in his hands. Like millions of dollars, really many millions of dollars over budget. And I would love to help him.
Why is he complaining about a library that I presume the state or federal government is building? This is wacky nonsense.
Or somebody else. I could recommend professionals, but it was not built in a professional manner. By the way, nor was in California a little train going from San Francisco to Los Angeles that's being run by Gavin Newsom, the governor of California. Did you ever hear of Gavin Newsom? He has got, that train is...
I'm so embarrassed. Like, as an American, I'm embarrassed. This guy is like gonna be like an indelible stain on the history of America. Like, people are gonna read about him in history books, and they're gonna feel shame that we existed in this current time. And like, I feel so bad.
The worst cost overrun I've ever seen. It's like...
Yeah, Mark Carney is sitting right next to him, though you wouldn't guess it because he hasn't been able to talk for like 15 minutes.
Totally out of control. So then they said, all right, we won't go into San Francisco. We'll stop 25 miles short. And we won't go into Los Angeles. We'll stop 25 miles short. It's hundreds of billions of dollars for this stupid project that should have never been built. And then they realized that it would have been a lot less costly if we just gave limousine service back and forth and gave it free. They would have saved hundreds of billions of dollars.
The entire point is that you build the train, and then a lot more people can take the train than can ride in individual limousines. And that over time, that infrastructure that is more durable and dependable will pay off by transporting people where they need to go without them needing to drive in an individual car, each one of them. It's not difficult to wrap your head around why that would be a good idea.
They have airplanes that go there for one 1/100th the cost. And they have cars. They have a thing called the highway that goes back and forth that's not fully utilized. And they...
Yeah, but I'm just throwing this out there. You're talking about things that already have the infrastructure built, right? Like, the infrastructure for aircraft is already built, and it was astronomically expensive. The infrastructure for the federal highway system is already built, and it was one of the biggest mega projects in human history. So, like, when we're talking about this, like, you're like, oh, yeah, look, it's taken them so long to build it. Yeah, it takes a long time to fucking build dependable infrastructure.
He got involved with this project, and Gavin, I always like...
His vocabulary is so limited. It is that is a fascist hallmark, It's the 14th point of Umberto Eco's Fascism, and it's the point about newspeak, a kind of simplified and truncated way and manner of speaking that gets popularized amongst the fascist in-group. And Donald Trump has been, like, I don't know, hard at work over the last decade, shaving down his vocabulary until it's practically grunts. Nomi Sunrider, thank you for the $2 super chat. The reason the California train is taking so long? Yeah, I mean, like, there are a lot of reasons the building of the train is taking so long. One being, like, the land rights of, like, various people along the proposed track. But also just, like, people in America aren't great at building trains yet. We need a lot more experience doing it. We need a lot more trains. Fascism is required reading. I agree, Iron Feathers, which is why I didn't think enough people would actually go read it, and I made a video on my YouTube channel of me reading the entire thing and talking about the Trump administration. So you guys can check that out. It's on my YouTube channel. You can just like search fascism on there and find it. And I'm proud of that video. It's a whiskey night. Let's get goofy. We need a lot more subs and donos if I'm going to have a whiskey night.
Gavin, I had a good relationship with him. I just got him a lot of water. You know, I sent in people to open up that water because he refused to do it. And we just got him a lot of water. If they would have had that water, and if they would have done what I said to do, they wouldn't have had the fires in Los Angeles. Those fires would.
The water you had them release never made it to Los Angeles. It did exactly jack and shit, and it wasted a water supply desperately needed from a place that is currently going through a drought.
Would have been put out very quickly. But if you think about it, and you got to take a look at this, it's the worst cost overrun I've ever seen. I've watched a lot of stupid people build a lot of stupid things, but that's the worst cost overrun I've ever seen. What's happening between San Francisco and Los Angeles. And you ought to ask about that, because this government is not going to pay. I told our very great new Secretary of Transportation, he's doing a good job, Sean Duffy, I said, we're not going to pay for that thing. They are just, it's out of control. This is something that you don't have things like this. It's not even conceivable. Like 30 times over budget, 30 times. It's the craziest thing and now it's hundreds of, it was supposed to be a simple train. And I think the media should take a look at it. And I'd love him to run for president on the other side. You know, I'd love to see that. But I don't think he's going to be running, because that one project alone.
Also, can we just like, just real quick, if we actually invested into an apparatus, you know, here's my hot take. Okay, let's just take a look real quick at something here. Yeah. Okay. So Donald Trump is pledging a $500 billion investment into AI, an unproven and unprofitable technology with nebulous potential benefits that personally I don't believe will manifest. However, $500 billion could build some really kick-ass rail across this country, you know? And like, we should do that. We should use some of the power we have to actually go through and like build a comparable, you know, system to the interstate highway system, but like an interstate railway system. We should have that. We should have actual good rail that is fast, efficient, and cheap. It is not impossible to achieve. We can build trains that can go all like very, very fast. Like, how fast do bullet trains go these days? Yeah, how fast do maglev trains go? They go 268 miles per hour. And some of them have gotten up to 375 miles per hour. We can literally build reliable infrastructure that doesn't need, you know, to like attach rockets to a plane and burn jet fuel. We don't need to do that. We can just build trains, you know? I like trains a lot. We're going to spend $500 billion on AI, an unproven thing that no one really needs, versus $500 billion on like infrastructure projects that literally everyone needs. We need to rail America. Very true, Van Briggs. Very true. God. They make so many cool trains in Japan. Sorry, I'm not falling down this rabbit hole. We're getting back to this.
Well, that and the fires and a lot of other things pretty much put him out of the race.
Mr. President, what changes would you like to see to the USMCA? Or what changes would you like to see?
We're going to work on some subtle changes.
Donald Trump literally doesn't know what is in the USMCA. He has no idea. That's why he's not saying anything specific.
Maybe. I don't even know if we're going to be dealing with USMCA. We're dealing more with concepts right now. Look, right now, we're doing trade. We have trade. They're paying a tariff on cars and steel and aluminum. And I think we have a baseline of 10% or something like that for the tariffs. But we're getting along very well. Right now, going no further, but we have an agreement. We did something with even parts. You want to discuss that, Howard, with respect to Canada, which helps Canada out?
Sure. So we've made an arrangement with the car companies that 15% of their USMCA parts are included, and then 15% of foreign parts from the manufactured suggested retail price are not tariffed to help domestic manufacturing really thrive.
So it gave them a chance to be able to build their car parts factories if they're going to. A lot of these companies already have factories, and what they have to do is just fill them out. But they're able to build them in the United States, so we gave them a pretty substantial period of time. I think.
Okay, I know it's completely immaterial to anything they're talking about, but do you think these gold filigree things that Donald Trump put everywhere, do you think they're actual gold, or do you think that like they're the kind of gold doodad you could get at like Home Goods? Like, do you guys think these are real, or did they get like some solid spray paint? Gold leaf at best, yeah.
So, Mr. President, is there anything the Prime Minister can say to you today to change your mind on tariffing Canada?
Tariffing cars?
Tariffing Canada.
There's been talk of these in craft circles. I'm so glad to hear that. That's hilarious.
Is there anything he could say to you in the course of your meetings with him today that would get you to lift tariffs on Canada?
No.
Why not?
Just the way it is.
See, like, this isn't the brilliant maneuver. He's just like, I want the tariffs. That's just the way it is. Sorry.
Yeah. If Canadians don't want it, would you respect that?
Sure, I would. But this is not necessarily a one-day deal. This is over a period of time they have to make that decision. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, if I may. Well, if respectfully.
Oh man, the first time he's been able to talk in 18 minutes. Sorry, you're blue. Thank you for the $2 super chat.
Canadians' view on this is not going to change on the 51st state. Secondly, we are the largest client of the United States in the totality of all the goods. So we are the largest client of the United States. We have a tremendous auto sector between the two of us, and the changes that made have been helpful. 50% of a car that comes from Canada is American. That's not like anywhere else in the world. And to your question about is there one thing? No, this is a bigger discussion. There are much bigger forces involved, and this will take some time and some discussions, and that's why we're here, to have those discussions, and that is represented by who's sitting around the table.
See, the conflict is, and this is very friendly. We're not. This is not going to be like we had another little blow up with somebody else. That was a much different. This is a very friendly conversation, but we want to make our own cars. We don't really want cars from Canada, and
we don't make all of our own cars though. Like, we make some cars here, but like a lot of our cars are made in Mexico and Canada. Like, what are you talking about?
We put tariffs on cars from Canada, and at a certain point, it won't make economic sense for Canada to build those cars. And we don't want steel from Canada.
What do you mean? They can just sell them to other countries, ding dong.
We're making our own steel, and we're having massive steel plants being built right now as we speak. We really don't want Canadian steel, and we don't want Canadian aluminum and various other things.
Do you not want the Canadian potash? I wonder how the agricultural sector would do if Canada shut off potash exports to the United States. Just a thought. You know, like just a bargaining chip that's currently on the table when it comes to economic deals between these two countries. Just a thought.
because we want to be able to do it ourselves. And
there are zero new steel mills. There's like no additional investment happening. No companies are investing into more like extractive technologies going on right now. At the very least, if there are mills being built, it's because they were already planned to be built like 5 years ago, you know?
Because of, past thinking of people, we have a tremendous deficit with Canada. In other words, they have a surplus with us. And there's no reason for us to be subsidizing Canada. Canada's a place that will have to be able...
This is all very friendly, though. This is all very friendly. But your country sucks, and you should feel bad about it. Very friendly, though.
...to take care of itself economically. I assume they can. I will tell you that Trudeau, when I spoke to him, I used to call him Governor Trudeau. I think that probably did.
I love that, like, Donald Trump is like, you have to be able to take care of yourselves economically. And then, like, but you're the one putting tariffs on every country on earth. Like, we're the ones who are going to have to try and take care of ourselves economically, not everywhere else. Like, people can do business with each other outside the United States just fine. They're all going to figure it out. We're going to be fucked.
Didn't help his election, but when I spoke to him, I said, so why are we taking your cars? Why are we taking we want to make them ourselves. I mean, I said, and if the price of your cars went up...
But we want to make them ourselves. We're not building more car factories here, bud. Like, all right.
Or if we put a tariff on your cars of 25%, what would that mean to you? He said that would mean the end of Canada. He actually said that to me. And I said, that's a strange answer, but I understand his answer. But no, I mean...
Very, very similarly to if Canada cut off potash exports to the United States, it would basically be the implosion of the United States. Like, I can't stress enough that, like, hey, do you guys like being able to grow food in America? That is entirely dependent on Canada sending us their potash. That is, like, entirely dependent on them being willing to do that. And if they cut off those exports, they need the money from those exports a lot less than we need the potash. Okay?
It's hard to just...
It would basically mean we can't fertilize any of our fields, and our yields would basically collapse.
Justify subsidizing Canada to the tune of maybe $200 billion.
Well, maybe you don't need a turkey on Thanksgiving, okay? What if you had a nice Thanksgiving rutabaga? Wouldn't that be nice? Like you know what we need to do, folks? Folks, there's a new Christmas tradition, and it's called foraging in the woods. All right, forage in the woods. Did you know you can make dandelion wine? Did you know you can do that? I bet you could find some blueberries, like a handful. That's enough for you to live on. Just when you're out there foraging, just use our new AI we invested in, folks. When you use the AI, it will help you identify what is safe to eat. Isn't that right, folks?
A year. We protect...
Millions of Trump supporters die as they eat poison mushrooms.
Canada militarily, and we always will. We're going to, that's not a money thing. But we always will. But, it's not fair. But why are we subsidizing Canada $200 billion a year, or whatever the number might be? It's a very substantial number. And it's hard for the American taxpayer to say, gee whiz, we love doing that. Thank you very much. We're going to have a very substantial... Thank you. Thank you very much.
Sir, NATO spending? Can you comment on Canada's NATO spending? Cut it out, thanks, guys.
You should deal with this.
Why don't you call Mr. Carney the governor? Why do you call him Prime Minister? Thanks, guys. We're out.
Are you going to the World Cup? Are you going to go to the World Cup games?
That was a journey. That was an absolute... I mean, that was a real shit show, you know? God. Also, just in case you guys are like, well, you know, maybe the potash thing isn't that big of a deal. The Trump administration is actually panicking about it. Specifically, the Detroit Free Press here reported on it. Trump administration fast tracks Michigan potash mine. What is potash? And basically, they're just trying to like give all of the green lights with none of the oversight or regulatory oversight that would traditionally go over mining projects in order to try and create manufacturing in the United States to replace Canada's potash imports or exports, which they're not gonna, like, guys, it takes a long time to build a mine. I don't know if you guys know that. It actually takes a long time to make something like this. No way this could end badly. Exactly. Does Michigan even have potash? There are a few deposits, yeah. But like Canada has huge deposits of potash. It's crazy. But yeah, Donald Trump is insane. He's insane. His brain is mushifying. And I feel like I've made that readily apparent throughout this entire can you even call it like a talk with Mark Carney when Mark Carney barely got time to speak? God.
Trump has had, and continues to have, a problem with minors.
You know, that's why I got on the Epstein plane, okay? That's why I was such good friends with Jeffrey Epstein, but then I found out it wasn't the right kind of miners. I thought he was really into the mining equipment that I had always had a passion for, but then it turned out that was not the case.
Riverboat Jack is going to town. All the viewers gather round. Twitch and YouTube is where she streams. All that content is bursting the seams. Politics, being plenty more. Her sense of fashion, you'll adore.